morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the regular session for the Board of Supervisors for September 23rd, 2025. Roll call, please. Control.
Schwartz.
Here.
Paul. Brandt.
Here.
Kurtenbach.
Here.
Hanley.
Here. Would everyone please join us for a moment of silence as we reflect on our actions here today? Now would you join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
Like if a couple of us.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1 is the agenda received as proposed or amended.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The agenda is received. Public comments. Is there anyone in the audience today that would like to speak to the board? You are. Please come forward. Is there anyone online as well? Hearing none, we'll move on to claims and payments. Item number 3, resolution that the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures and that the county auditor be authorized and directed to issue payments against the various settlement of such claims as allowed.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Whedon.
Good morning, Board. Our total bill payment today is $879,865.76. Of that, from the 60/40 fund, we're paying $3,579.57. And in terms of large payments today, we are paying Peters Construction $45,844.90 for the IT server room renovations. And we're also paying Peters $279,556.43 for the HVAC upgrade at Pinecrest. And we are also paying Young Plumbing $84,038.90 for the HVAC project at the jail. And there's one more. Conservation did purchase a pickup truck from Carl Chevrolet, $48,859.40. I think those are all the larger items today. Everything appears to be in order.
Any questions? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Kurtenbach.
Yes.
Brandt.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item number 4, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials.
Good morning, Board. Captain Nicholas, engineer. A brief update on our maintenance activities for the past week. We are, of course, moving into anticipating cooler weather, so we are in the process of getting the gravel roads in shape. We are finishing our last district with the mile rock, and now we're beginning some spot rocks and touching up. It will probably go on for several weeks, maybe a month, until we get some very cold temperatures. Our contract work, our Dubuque Road project, we are very hopeful that that is finished up by Friday. We are checking on the seeding and erosion control due to some of the wetter weather last night. Pavement markings still need to be applied, but we are very hopeful that it's all by Friday. Huff Road Bridge, we have several issues out there and why not any work is going on out there. We have received a couple of inquiries about what's going on out there. The crane had been mobilized out there, but now we've had to bring it back to Longfellow because of concerns about a portion of it not functioning properly. So of course, safety is our first priority with the crane, so we need to make sure it's operating properly before we can take it back out to Hawk Road. And then also there is a fiber optic cable that is in the ditch that we are waiting on Century, our utility, to get that moved before we can start our work out there. So we are uncertain as far as when we will be back out there, possibly in the next few weeks, but I will keep you updated on that. And the public is certainly feel free to call the office with any questions.
You say you're getting quite a few calls.
We've gotten a couple inquiries about it. It's just south of the Waterloo city limits on off-road.
Kathy, is off-road open yet then, or is it closed now?
Off-road.
Still open? Okay.
Can I answer any questions?
Kathy, will that have any impact on Ordway? I mean, will the crew be able to work on that?
Do you want to answer that, Brian? What's up? Will this impact Ordway?
No, nothing currently. I mean, we're working on Ordway
Yeah,
right now, so they're starting to set panels out there.
okay,
Our plan was to go to off and
Yeah.
then finish the season at Ordway.
yeah. Oh, I just didn't know if with the crane being down, if that was gonna change the timeline or if priorities were to shift back to Ordway or not, but, okay.
They're able to do that work with our excavators, so.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other elected officials or department heads with updates? Anyone online? Moving forward. Item 5, minutes approved for September 16, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, minutes are approved. Item 6 is the consent agenda. Following items are acted upon by a single resolution without discussion unless someone wishes to remove one to board discussion.
So moved.
Second.
This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Grant,
Yes.
Schwartz. Schwartz,
Yes.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item number 7, contracts and agreements. This is a resolution that change order 007 received from Peters Construction for the courthouse multi-department remodel project in the amount of $1,254.33 for the addition of electrical and data be approved and the chair be authorized to sign the same as recommended by Rory Getting, Facilities Director.
So moved.
Second.
Morning.
Good morning, Board. Rory Gibbing, Facilities Director. This change order is actually two-part. It also includes a deduct for some flooring work that took place in the Treasurer's Department. That deduct was in the amount of $150, so the original change order was $1,404.33, and as a result of the deduct, that came in at $1,254.33, and this is for the additional receptacles and data drops over in the Auditor's Department. Thank you.
Any questions? This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item B, resolution to approve the change order to contract with Boulder Contracting to add bridge repairs on East Arnold Street at a cost of $74,286.40 for Project L-3032- bridge repairs at various locations in Blackhawk County. The new contract total will be $248,268.65 as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So moved.
Second.
I sent you all a lengthy email about this change order. We would like to add an additional site to this existing contract with Boulder. We have some work on a bridge that we would really like to get completed on Donald Street before resurfacing next year, and this would be a good opportunity to add this work in. I explained to you how we price checked it, and we feel like this is a reasonable price that Boulder has given us, so we would like to propose to add this additional site for approximately $74,000 to the existing contract.
Appreciate you trying to do this before we did the road work.
Further questions? This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item C, resolution to approve the amended contract with Fresh Start Cleaning Solutions to include janitorial services for the Veteran Affairs Building at an additional cost of $30,000 annually, as recommended by Rory Gibbing, Facilities Director.
So moved.
Excuse me, second.
Good morning again. This brings the total janitorial contract yearly amount to $294,000 with the addition of the new VA center. Any questions on that?
What was that again? That's number?
294,000.
This is a resolution, please answer your name as well.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 8, other business. Motion that the personnel requisition for a law enforcement liaison, part-time, 20 hours per week, and with the replacement in the county attorney's office be approved as recommended by Brian Williams, county attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Great.
Sorry, my name is Esmer, HR Director. Brian called me this morning and just asked that I'd be here to answer any questions. But this position is a part-time, non-bargaining role. We've had 2 individuals that I can tell from our system in this position. But basically it does help the attorney's office facilitate the different kind of reports with criminal cases that they receive from our local law enforcement agencies. So primarily, he said this position works with Waterloo, but it does kind of support how all their case management and how those criminal cases come across to their desk. So I know there was some discussion about upping it to 0.75, but he's since decided to just leave it as it is. So it's up to 20 hours per week. It's not eligible for benefits like health insurance, but certainly IFRS would be a factor. There's some other kind of fringe benefits such as supplemental life insurance, but I believe we've been given 6 weeks notice about, so we do plan to post the position and get it filled so there can be some training. Any questions on that?
I was kind of surprised, maybe ask Brian why this wasn't a full-time position with having 2 part-timers.
So I think it's only been 1 part-time position, from what I can tell. But I don't know that the workload. I know they've had other roles like the domestic violence investigator before, and it's kind of evolved. I think there was one at one time. They were talking about a discovery kind of officer at one point. So it's just with all the electronic documents that kind of go back and forth. There's been some changes in technology, but at this point, he's looking to replace it as 1 part-time. That's what it is today, but it's possible he may come back and, request something additional. So,
Okay.
Is Dennis still down there? He retired.
he retired, but that was, I think he might have been.
It was him and Sue
Mm-hmm.
quite a while.
Alan Pryor was another one.
They're busy folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B is a motion to approve the placement of a collection bin in the Blackwood County Courthouse from October 21st through November 2nd, 2025 to collect non-perishable food items for a food drive benefiting the Northeast Iowa Food Bank.
Moved.
Second.
Morning, Gabby DeWitt, Marketing Coordinator, just here to answer any questions if you have any. It's the 4th year that this group has done this as kind of a collaborative effort for the food bank. It includes Mercy One, Unity Point, People's Clinic, Cedar Valley Medical Specialists, Impact Marketing, and Public Health has been a part of it before. And I think I was just on the email because I used to work at Public Health, but I thought, this might be an opportunity for our staff to participate as well.
And you mentioned how you guys have met and going to put it into the.
We were thinking in the micro market area, it might increase some staff foot traffic down there to see all the cool things that they've done in the micro market, and also then it'd be a secure location for the donations. But if I believe there's some flyers that are created by, I think, Impact Marketing, and will say, that you can drop food donations, public can drop food donations off. When I talked to Megan at Public Health, they said they got very few public donations. It was mostly staff generated. But if so, we would certainly accept public donations and we'll just place it down there for them because that is a staff secure area.
And then you mentioned too, as far as cash contributions to the staff.
Right, Megan said, so this slightly a competition because they weigh the food that is donated. So in Public Health in the past, they've taken the money and gone and purchased like complete things to make a complete meal and then put that in the bin. So because it weighs more than dollar bills. so we'll follow that lead. Yeah, big old turkey.
Yeah, big turkey.
Yeah, 20 pounds.
Any more questions? This is the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say the same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, resolution that the generative artificial intelligence policy be approved effective September 23rd, 2025, as recommended by Policy Review Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Let's see what Al has to say there. You've got a little resistance there in your voice. Thank you, Al, just to recap kind of everything that happened.
Morning, Board. Al, IT Director. A couple weeks ago, we had a good discussion on the generative AI policy, and I just wanted to know if you guys have any additional questions for us.
And there weren't any changes. You were having Mike, I think, review it, or you two made
There
some changes. There was something.
There's one minor change because Mike caught a typo at the end. Our intention was to review the policy every 6 months, and we accidentally put biannual because we were, which is, it's just a oversight. So that has been corrected. That was the only change to the policy. And you know, the AI landscape moves quite quickly, so 6 months we feel is a pretty good review time, or as needed, really, because if there are significant changes, I think it should be adopted. The change should be adopted accordingly. This is something I think that's very important for the county to at least have a policy on, and mainly it's for data privacy. That's really the focus.
How soon will you be able to get more training out on this thing to the staff?
Here soon. We're doing introductory trainings right now. That is not the same as, say, the official county training. We are still working on what that looks like. I believe what the curriculum. I think it'll just be kind of a training video that we have staff sign off on. We also need to determine who is going to be on the AI committee, and I'm not sure if that's something that the board wants to assign folks to, or you allow us to figure out who wants to be part of that committee. So I would love your guidance on that.
Policy board committee's already been doing a lot of work on this already, so.
I would leave this up to Al to decide who needs to be on it.
I was going to say, you and the Policy Review Committee is probably where it's been discussed is probably if there's anyone in there. Do you have, I guess we'd probably appreciate knowing who it is you'd be recommending or who you're going to bring to us to.
As of right now, I have 2 folks who were on the initial committee to help us write this policy. And then, but I would actually like to, and we're more of the technical savvy folks, but I would actually like to bring on people that aren't in IT for different perspectives. So that was the idea. I don't think it needs to be a huge committee, but I was thinking anywhere 5 to 7 folks. And so.
And that 5 to 7 is when you're supposed to be reviewing this or bringing it back?
Correct. This is the committee that would review. Yep.
Okay.
They would review the policy. They would also review, it's a tiered approach. So we have 3 different tiers. And so in tiers 2 and 3, for example, let's just say your department that wants to introduce a new vendor or new software. And part of that is it has AI embedded into it. Tier 2 requires us to vet that software to make sure that it is safe for county use, make sure our data is private. And this committee would help oversee approving that process and then bring that to you guys ultimately.
So I'm just asking this question, maybe it's from your group, this small group would then bring the 6-month review to the policy board or to us?
I think we'll probably, if there's any change, we'll probably bring it to the policy review committee and then just have the peer review there. And then if there are changes, then of course we can bring it to the board and follow the same procedures we've been.
And then keeping us updated as we've done the review. Even
Of course.
if there aren't any changes or something.
And there may not be a lot of changes, but we'll certainly review. But you never know. AI moves quickly. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Really fast, actually. So.
Any other questions? No? This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Brant,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Thank you. Item D, resolution to approve Dr. Mark Bickley's appointment of Madeline Bickley to the medical examiner staff and notify the state medical examiner's office of that approval.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, I didn't know if we needed any questions or any more discussion or update, is that, I know you did some calls and.
Yeah, appreciate you making the calls.
Yeah, I just spoke with a couple people to get their input on it, who were close to the deal, so there were no issues.
I think it was really a requirement for her to take the course that she needed to do and be shadowing Dr. Bickley. I know when he came in and talked about it, it was really just kind of making us aware of that, even brought her in to meet anybody who was here, but it was for her to take that course. It needed to be kind of a transparent or just acknowledging that the board was aware it was going on. And,
Yeah, with it not adding or incurring any extra costs, and then essentially just doing job shadowing, and he said within 6 to 12 months he anticipates that she'll be able to be out on her own. So he's able to get her into the course for the school, but most of it's just on the job training. So
I know he was very clear, I talked to Michelle and I when he stopped in, that there wasn't going to be any additional costs. This was an employment issue or anything, so that kind of how he works. Wants to be very careful. So.
yeah, I felt better about it after talking with him and a couple other folks too. So
This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Brant,
yes,
Kurttenbach,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item E, motion to direct the county auditor to advertise for a public hearing bid opening to be held at 9:05 on October 14, 2025 in boardroom 201 to open bids for the proposed purchase of steel to be used in the construction of project L-3011 Oxley Road Bridge number 74825.
so moved.
Second.
I also sent you an email about this, and this just allows us to contract out to steel for this County Crew Bridge project that is scheduled for next year's completion. By contracting this out, this does not, we do not have to charge this against our day labor costs that we incur as we do work with our county forces. As you know, the state of Iowa, the DOT has a limit on how much county forces can be used to construct a bridge, for example. So we're trying to stay under that labor rate and by contracting out to steel.
Kathy, where is Oxley Road? North
Yeah.
or south side of the county?
It's in the east central, kind of south of Highway 20, east of Waterloo.
Any other questions?
No.
This is a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9, work session. Item A is a discussion to discuss roads department needs assessment conducted by Envision. Tim Turner.
All right,
Morning.
good morning, board. Tim Turnis, principal and architect with Envision. We preloaded today, so we don't have to wait around this time. Today, we're really just going to give you an update of where we're at with the assessment and study for the Longfellow facility. So I'll kind of talk through our project process a little bit, talk about our findings through a series of interviews, as well as a walkthrough through the entire facility and all of the buildings out there. I'll talk about a few common themes that came out of that assessment as well, and then jump into our recommendation on a potential phased project out there, all depending on funding and what November brings with local option sales tax voters and changing that language there. So jump right in here. Our timeline for this project, we started back in May with the assessment and our kickoff meeting, going through a few different exercises in discovery and visioning for the project. We then in June went through some facility tours. Took a little break there in the summer with some busyness, but picked it back up in the beginning of September with departmental interviews. And then by September 10th, we already had some options to start reviewing with the engineering and roads department to kind of get some more feedback on that development. Today, we're updating you and then moving forward into November, potential election and voter approval there. And then if approved, we can start as early as December. Of course, there's a lot of logistics there in working with the county and starting a project with that, but we could begin a 6 to 8 month process as early as December if we do get that approval and you guys are in acceptance of kind of the plan to move forward. So just quickly, early on in the project, going through our discovery exercises, we go one of the exercises called Hopes and Fears, and just talking to the staff and leadership within the departments on what to expect from this master plan or facility study. So it's really just a brainstorming session and engagement with the staff to, if we get weigh-in, we get buy-in. And so we try to engage with as many people as possible that are impacted by this facility. So some of the common things that came out of there, we talked a lot about efficiency and consolidation of services and operations. And by reworking that facility at Longfellow, the space is available to do that. And we do see some definite positive outcomes by consolidating those services out there. Space is really tight in the existing buildings out there. Some of those buildings, not all of the buildings, have reached their end of useful life and are needing to be maintained right now or upgraded. So now's really that time to do the study, and so being proactive and looking ahead is really a benefit to this process. We talked about that increased space and also safety. If you've been out there to the main shop, there's just not working room around the larger pieces of equipment and vehicles. Mechanics are having to actually lay on the ground to service some of those vehicles just because of the height constraints, and so that is a safety concern. Longevity of the equipment and the staff out there. So some of the fears that comes out of this as well, when we talk about the engineering department potentially moving out of the courthouse, are we going to lose some of those connections with some of those other county services? Yes and no. The majority of the staff would be out there with the facility, working with the roads department, which they work with on a daily basis. Kathy would be the one traveling back to the courthouse, or Ryan back to the courthouse, instead of multiple people from Longfellow coming to the courthouse to meet with the people. Change is a big fear. I mean, not everybody likes change, and so that can be a hurdle at times, but we're going to do our best to communicate what that change is and how it benefits the long-term goals of the facility and the departments. And then just the feasibility of it, just with the unknowns of funding, timelines. Are we trying to renovate and rebuild the existing facilities next to facilities and maintain operations? So you'll see in the recommendations how we kind of overcome that. Other kickoff findings here. Another kind of sticky note exercise that we went through with staff to engage them: eliminate, reduce, improve, create. So some highlights there. We need to eliminate those tight spaces, like I mentioned in the main shop. Reduce those issues with storage. Right now, materials, supplies, and equipment are scattered throughout multiple buildings, and it's hard to find things out there. So it creates some inefficiencies. So we can reduce some of those issues associated with the storage. And then the travel time back and forth. We want to try to reduce that between the courthouse and the Longfellow facility. Improve operations, storage, and dedicated work areas. You can see storage becomes a common theme as we go through this, and create staff support spaces and improve heated storage. Staff support spaces are quite minimal out there. There's no meeting rooms. The break room doubles as the staff training room. Toilet facilities and locker rooms are basically non-existent out there. They do exist in small form, but it definitely could be improved out there. Just some quick images here. You can see kind of some of the existing conditions out there. This is an expansion of what Kathy, I think, presented last year, maybe when we talked about this assessment. Just kind of the existing conditions out there. What the working conditions are, what the storage conditions are. One of the main buildings out there, the cold storage building, doesn't have a concrete floor, and so it's a very dirty space. It's not insulated, it's hard on the equipment. The equipment's hard to keep clean. Rodents are an issue out there just because there is no floor in there. So I think there's a lot of things that a new facility or a rethink for the facility could benefit the operations as a whole and the longevity of the equipment. A lot of the areas have been makeshift areas, have evolved over time. The staff out there are self-sufficient, and they can make do, they can make things work, and you can see that in the facility of how it's evolved over time and just making do. And so I think it's definitely time for taking a look at the facility as a whole and how we can improve it. So just some of those common themes: consolidation of services already talked about, and increased efficiency with keeping everybody in one location. Maintenance improvement, having those adequate and safe work areas, and the adjacent storage necessary to maintain equipment. When I think about the mechanic shop in particular, the metals and welding bays and metal storage are a little bit unorganized. It could be a lot more efficient and safe to work in with adequate space and ventilation. Vehicle storage is another big concern out there. Basically, the only heated storage we have out there supports, it fits kind of a larger number of trucks in there, but that building also doesn't have fire suppression in it. So there is a risk, inherent risk of if there was a fire, your whole fleet of trucks could be potentially taken away. So vehicle storage is a big concern and need out there that we can consolidate into one larger vehicle storage area with fire suppression and heated and clean space with that paved floor. Organized space, I mentioned this already, things are scattered all over the facility, sometimes difficult to find and maintain, so dedicated storage for each kind of service that's out there. And then those staff support spaces was a common theme, just having the ability to have a workstation or eat your lunch in a room that's not a meeting room or kind of a makeshift area. Right, so getting into the recommendations here. This is expanding on, I think, what you saw in Kathy's presentation previously, looking at phasing the facility to the north with the property that the county already currently owns. So what you see in the dark blue there is the expansion of a vehicle storage building, a maintenance facility with service base, parts storage, sign shop, roadside storage, staff support areas, and the engineering department. And so as you can see, there's kind of multiple boxes up there. Each one of those represents those functions up there. This recommendation is based off of let's build it and move into it so we don't have to work around construction and maintain operations, especially through winter seasons as things pick up and activity happens there at the facility with truck traffic. And so the site itself in the southeast corner is, I would say, constrained. I did look at some options to try to just expand on what is there or rebuild what is there in that area. That phasing and logistics and maintaining operations just become really, really cumbersome. There's just not enough space based off of some quick space programming that we could in test fits for all of the vehicles and equipment that is out there in the facility. So the recommendation is similar to the Cedar Falls Public Works model, if anybody's ever been out there, where there's a large vehicle storage area that's connected to all of the other services within the facility, kind of all under one roof. With interior connections for staff to go back and forth through. So the nice thing about a project like this and the construction type, it's more of a unitized or modular type system. The recommendation is you utilize precast walls. It's easily phased. So if dollars are constraints, we can talk about what fits within those dollars that we do have available. And so the recommendation is to try to get as much as you can. Because the facilities are in such a condition out there that I think most of them could be upgraded. So that's phase one, is really to build and move into it, and then phase two is, there's a three-dimensional view, kind of give you a sense of scale a little bit, just some three-dimensional pieces there that represent the existing buildings and the new buildings. As you can see, there's a price tag there, I'll get back to that in a second. But moving to phase two, it's addressing some of the existing buildings that are in that southeast corner of the site, removing the north shed, removing the west shed, and opening up just for open storage yard area adjacent to the bridge function, the bridge construction, which would be moved over to the existing mechanic shop, that precast building that is out there today. We all talked about that it's a nice size to build bridges in. It already has a gantry crane in it, and so it could serve that function very well. If there was some construction next to it, that would provide its storage and support spaces, small fabrication area, material storage, truck storage, that sort of thing that's associated with the bridge crew. So there is a proposed addition to that existing precast building on the north side. The other boxes that you see there are basic structures. One is a truck wash bay that is quite necessary. You can imagine the corrosion that happens with all of the salt that gets distributed through those trucks, and so washing them frequently is a good idea. It's just something that exists today but is not in great shape and is really inefficient to use. And so creating a new wash bay dedicated for that would be ideal. The other two kind of linear east to west buildings are just open storage bays. The south side would be open materials, or outdoor equipment can be stored in it and backed into it. So just think of kind of a lean-to structure open to the yard. So really economical structures. Part of this phase 2 is the site development, looking to pave most of the area. That's what you see in white. First, the vehicle circulation around, and then the kind of beige or tan area would just be a gravel lot for that storage yard. And then the three-dimensional view for that. And the overall cost. So this is our recommendation here. If it is a phased project with new construction being phase 1 in that site development, and then phase 2 coming back and addressing the existing facilities, we're looking for a total project of $25 to $31 million. And these are high-level numbers, which will be more refined if we, get that order approval in November, move into an actual project, go through schematic design, work through the actual details and the building sizes. These numbers will definitely be refined and tuned into something a little bit more accurate. So today I really wanted to give kind of a big ballpark figure, just to get us thinking about the range of costs. And then, like I said, the next steps will refine that number. So yeah, those are those next steps. Any questions for me?
You're going to be sending us a copy of this, I assume?
Yes, Kathy and Al already have it. Yep, they can share that with you. Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about phases too, what type of a timeline are you thinking for each phase? You mentioned it, and I just, like for phase 1.
It really depends on when the dollars are available. And so if we move into a phase 1 project, we would expect maybe 8 to 9 months of design work. So December through 3rd, 4th quarter next year. And then we could release that for bid. Construction wise, you're probably 16 months or so, 16 to 18 months of construction after that. So you're talking 28 by the time phase 1 would be complete.
Again, depending on financing then for phase 2, like when that's ready.
Correct. Yes. Yep. So obviously a lot more conversations need to be had about what the capabilities and the capacities are financially to move forward with this.
And phase 2 is including the changes to the existing buildings.
The removal, yes, and the demolition of 2 buildings, as well as the main shop that's adjacent on the south side of that precast box, which is the mechanic shop. So those would be demolished, the site would be redeveloped, and then expanded on the north side of that for the bridge group. These site development costs also include all of the stormwater, detention area, site utilities, all of those things that need to happen underground, and then paving over the top as well.
Kathy, did you have any thoughts, comments, or anything you want to share about this?
Just maybe to reiterate what Tim said. So from now until the vote, I will be trying to get information out to the rural public, to the public in the county. If it passes, then we can of course be more proactive in moving in this direction. We do have some monies budgeted in FY26 in this budget year for professional services. We'll have to take a look at seeing what that, if we can afford to begin design services. If not, we would also budget some money in our FY '27, is that right, '27 budget, for professional services. We have talked previously with our finance director about, repaying bonds and when that would start. And we, of course, we're thinking now that if we are able to move ahead with this, we would, pay for some of these. We do have money in our fund balance to begin paying for some of this construction. And then the bond repayments maybe wouldn't have to take place until 2028, or, those are all timelines we'd have to work out. As well as borrowing capacities and all of those things. I don't, the 25 to $30 million, I don't know, that's a really high reach. Maybe 15 to 20 is doable if the loss vote gets approved. But those are all things we need to work out yet.
As far as the building, the layout and that
Yes.
all works so well.
Right.
Right now, you're seeing boxes that represent an overall area based off of some assumptions.
Sure.
So we'll have to definitely dive into more design detail to right size the building.
Much to be done.
We think we're capable of doing probably some of the demolition in the future. That all depends on trucking capacity or workload, but of course we would like to, do some of those items as we can to reduce our costs. We've laid a lot of concrete with our crews, so, some of this we are capable of doing ourselves. We'll just have to see how much of that holds true as we get closer to, hopefully as we get closer to this becoming reality.
Kathy, what, if anything, could we, or I do to help you get out in front of people, as many people as possible before the election? Because we have 6 weeks, we don't have a lot of time to get information to submit.
Right, so Gabby and I have been talking about that. We can have public meetings, not everyone's available to come to public meetings, so we feel like we need to be meeting with people, but also a social media presence. We'd like to do something probably in the middle of October to get it in, if people are following us on social media, get it in front of on their phones, really close to election day, and hopefully it'll be on close, in their mind by mid-October. And then this last few weeks of October, try and have social media presence. I'm trying to get in front of people for meetings.
Yeah.
Were you thinking the public meetings too, that like typically you have for some of the other projects, and doing those the last 2 weeks of October, or were you thinking just the month of October?
Yes, in October,
Just October?
but again, that's probably very limited, to maybe 10 people can find time to come to a meeting. 10 or, I feel like we have to reach people in multiple ways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, you've done churches and had meetings and
Right.
things in the past.
Right. And we're thinking probably some flyers to our rural subdivisions, a postcard, Gabby suggested. So that would allow us to reach, 400 people in Washburn if they take a look at the postcard.
And you designed a flyer.
Yes.
That was used at that Justin Rich's event. Is that something that we could get out in front of others, or is that self-explanatory enough to, I guess, kind of kick this off or no?
We put together a flyer for your public meeting last week, and we could put something in the mail similar to that as well, and hit, in particular, some of those rural subdivisions, as well as we could do a mass mailing to rural residents. But I feel like if we wait till the middle of October, it'll probably be more effective, because then it's only 2 or 3 weeks away.
Keep it, yeah, kind of right before the.
Right.
Are you gonna develop a schedule or something about that, or what your plan is, or you're working with Gabby on that?
I'm working with Gabby on the social media, the
Just-
flyer present
Okay.
portion of it, and I'm still coordinating the real life, the actual meetings.
And that'll only be eligible for rural voters, right, on that? Okay.
And there might be some, I imagine when you get to your meeting, you probably caught a few additional people that show up or just kind of know what's going on, so that's good too, but the real voters on that, yeah. And Kathy usually invites all the board to all these meetings anyway, so.
Right.
Who can go or too. Yeah, I don't know, you to help, I guess, if you think that's it.
That's all I had.
No, looks good so far, yeah, nice price tag.
Boxes
Nice
on the
look,
plate.
lots of boxes, but yeah, but you know, it's a plan, that's kind of where we need
Yeah.
to go.
We've been looking forward to seeing those boxes.
Yeah, touring the facility, it was definitely a little bit eye-opening, some of the conditions in those buildings. And I know a lot of the staff are out and about throughout the day, but having a place to come back, do training, work on a computer or something, it's definitely necessary. That really lacks today. Looking at those mechanic offices, the dust and dirt that's next to the shop, and the longevity of the technology and things that are in there, computers.
On the infrastructure of the buildings, I think it was like as far as just the deterioration and
Yes,
things like
yeah,
that, that
yep.
really makes you.
Yeah, a lot of those buildings have reached their end of useful life, And we've already had to help assist with some repairs on some of those structural columns in that west shed in particular where the trucks are stored, so, yep.
Excited to get to this point.
It's good. Okay, thank you all.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, item B in the work session was only just meant as a discussion item to be putting on the board. It didn't have to be a part of a work session or anything. I was just gonna put it on the agenda, and I said to Lori when we did this, it might be something like with budget, when we do budget and just always have discussion, possible board action, or maybe just discussion every week, as long as we're working through the consolidated communications meeting, discussion type of thing, we have the afternoon session, and Rich and I, and with the others, as you heard, there's a small committee that's kind of put together to kind of kick this off, but, who knows where that'll go. I'm kind of looking forward to it at this point, to hear what the comments are from the mayors. I think our meeting last week, we probably all would recognize that it was a little awkward. I think we weren't really sure what they were asking when they were making the request of us. As it turned out, it's back to the consolidated communications discussion. It sounds like it could be more than that, but that would be good for clarification, I thought, today, just to kind of find out. But at least being able to come back to the board every week and updating or getting opinions or thoughts or,
I would recommend that we keep this on the agenda, it's the same.
and I don't know if you've seen this, Rich has, but happy to give you this one, but I was gonna say, that's the agenda today, and I won't only say that, it's a well put together, thought out agenda. Judy was just trying to get something composed for our use, that she listened to kind of the comments that were made and threw this together and said, is this what you guys want? And, I did follow up with her and did say, as of yesterday, have you had any questions, anything that, anybody got a hold of you? She said none. And that's kind of, I guess, what we expect, but I thought maybe these would be a good place to start. I said, and just see, when we have this in front of the group of 6, if there are more questions or thoughts about any of those categories, and then we left 1, 2 that add additional topics for if there's anything else that comes up differently, but yeah, no, I thought it's just something to bring forward and bring back to you, because ultimately this is a great working group to maybe start and kind of kick off this, but the decisions that will have to be made, I know Tavis, we really kind of got cut short at the end of that meeting. I think he had somewhere he had to go, and so he was trying to put together a committee and then say, okay, you guys can meet next week. But this will be the Consolidated Communications Board and this county, for the county's behalf too, that will really have to be working on it and making decisions on it. And I know one of the comments that always comes up, and I saw Mike Shears at the meeting weekend, I said, you know, I was expecting him at the meeting. He always says every time we get on the subject, because the subject comes up frequently, that he said, we've been talking about this for 25 years. And I said, yeah, I know that's what people say, and that's probably depends on how you take the word talk. But I said, that's when the issue comes up from someone, we talk about it for a couple of weeks until the budget cycle passes. And then we don't do any of the work that's required. And 3 years ago, like I said, it's kind of interesting. I said to him as well that 3 years ago is where we were now. It was the same timeline during a budget cycle coming up, and the mayor's, quite honestly, saying then this has to happen in this budget cycle. If anything, was probably more evident of how hard everyone worked on our staff to get as much information out of this and back to all of us as a group. The consolidated communication, which included us, was that wasn't something that could happen in a budget cycle. So that openness to, if you really want to fix this and this is something you think is better for the taxpayers, then we decide to work on it and do it, not just come back and say, okay, we need to do this now, because this has changed over a period of years. Everybody's tried to make different changes, from a formula to less, that was a 90-10, and we were going to do it 80-20. Then they talked about doing a 75-25. And then we finally got to this property valuation last 3 years ago. And the last one, which everyone felt was the reason why the county could do the levy, was because we have this property valuation use, and it makes sense for the county to then just take it over. And so it just seems there's a lot to be looked at and reviewed, and I know both of you are new, so it's even more information to throw at you, but I know when, I think I said to Michelle, it was just like, there's so much even to go back in your brain over 3 years ago that it was good information to share with all of you and us to start looking at, but it was a lot of work, and so I just thought, wanted your thoughts on it, but otherwise to put it on the agenda and have discussion if we need it, and if we don't like budget, you know, you just move on and don't have the discussion because there's nothing to report, but otherwise at least help.
Since last week's meeting, I've been going back reading minutes from the meetings past in this process. It seems like it's the same issues keep coming up, but you can't get past answers to those issues. And I've had a former board member reach out to me with his concerns again. And again, if other folks have more questions or concerns, let us know. Right now, this meeting today, I think there's a lot more questions and trying to seek out answers. But to see the same issues coming up again and again and again without getting the final answers to moving forward. We need something that is consistent for funding our 911 service call center. That was brought to me before I was even brought to the seat. There was 3 parts to the whole thing. The funding, the mechanism, staffing was a concern, location was another concern. But the funding, until we get the funding and it's something that's fair and equitable for all the taxpayers, something that's long-lasting for the cities and for the county. That's been another problem, is just dump it on the county. That ain't the answer. Time and time again, I've read that was kind of what the whole discussion was kind of going headed to. That's not the answer.
Well, and I'm kind of been open to that all along. I know, like I said, this was 3 years ago. It was difficult working through it in that kind of a timeline and trying to get something put together, and we were reaching and grabbing and everything and talking to everybody. But it was, if you're going to do it right, and it is right with the taxpayers, you take the time to do it right, and you look at, maybe there are several ways to be looking at this, and we don't have all that knowledge and experience, and try to do it as best you can and have the end result be what you want or you're satisfied with. It doesn't mean you won't tweak it later on. But, you know, if I did do that, and we weren't, I think everybody, like I say, hats off to our staff, because nobody, quite honestly, put in any time. They came back and reported it, you know, to hear the updates as much as we could spit out information. But they were all just coming as the audience, and then the goal was obviously to make the county do it, because it was a push to force the county to do it last time. And that doesn't set well when you're working together and wanting collaboration and stuff too. To just say, we can make you do this, and this is what we want you to do. And it started off, I thought an EMA very ugly because it was like we were all talking about collaboration, we're gonna work together, and I said, yeah, at that time as a member on that board, it was like open to that and we'll support that and we want more collaboration. And pretty soon, like say that budget, I think we touched on it a little bit the other day, it was they wanted property valuations, that's the county should do it, and they wanted the budget increased 150%. And it was like, so a nice way to start. And this isn't the way you start by telling us that you're gonna force us to do it and this is what our budget's gotta be. We had all kinds of questions yet. But it was just, like I say, it was trying to answer questions at the time. The people that were trying hardest to do that weren't the people in the room. They were our staff and trying to do their jobs and budget and different things and yet try to answer all the questions. And so there probably was a high level of emotion and frustration when you're trying to resolve questions. But I just thought, I'm hoping today this is like the group that'll want to, like say, you start doing this because you want to go that direction and have the discussion and more information or whatever, and then walk away with yes or no, or not at this time. We do. One of the, I was going to do an update for this meeting on the workforce development that we talked about a few weeks ago, and I said about that merger and the regions, merging together. And it was interesting, after we had the meeting on Friday, one of the Winneshiek County supervisor was talking about that merger, and one of the counties, or one of the regions kind of wanted to force us to merge. And he said, and I learned this from a wise old person in my past or something, and it stuck with me forever, but he said, if someone comes to you and says, this has to happen now, the answer is no. Because you need time to work through all of this and to do it right, and so he was, the whole group, it was nice to have all 20 counties were coming together on Friday and saying, it's not to be forced on you. If you want to work through it, we'll work through you and see if it's good for us as a region. And I just thought of this because they were so close in the same week. But it's just like, yeah, this is what we think is the best for the taxpayers. Then spend the time, get it right, and have that answer. So thank you. That's the only reason, just to see this item on here, then for the most part going forward. And because we're having our first meeting today, I assume next Tuesday we bring information back for whatever.
Michelle, what type of levy, how would this be categorized? Is an EMA levy then?
Well, that's a legal question, and I
Okay,
think you
okay.
should, I think we need to get some legal advice. There
Right.
is a code section that allows us to levy an EMA levy. That's not what you're actually talking about, so.
Yeah.
Well, and the only reason I ask is just because I was on the website looking here, different levies throughout, in different counties throughout the state, and there's an EMS levy, which obviously we don't have here.
EMS levy, I believe, and again, you need legal advice.
Yeah.
I understand that takes a referendum to implement that, and EMS is for the ambulance service, which Judy said last week, her people don't qualify as those type of employees.
Right.
So I don't think that applies to what we think they wanna do. I mean, I guess I don't know that for sure, but.
I think clarification from today on, because that memo, last week was for EMS services, and that's where I was confused. It was like, well, we did the consolidation kind of stuff, and we looked at EMA as well, but we'd never talked about ambulance services, so I was glad to know at that time at least. It didn't sound like they were interested in that at all. It was just consolidated. But yeah, legal's probably where we're gonna have to go, hopefully, in that discussion today, and we can, because I think that was the attempt, maybe when Ehlers was employed, was to help provide some guidance for that, but they were talking EMS services, so we need to all get in the same track.
Rich, you alluded to previous minutes and just no answers. I'm wondering if that's because there are no answers to be found, or
I
you know
don't
what I
think
mean?
some people like the answers that are gonna be there. That's the tone I'm getting from the minutes I'm reading.
Mhm.
Some people don't want some of the answers that they're gonna end up getting. That's the way I'm reading it. You were there, a couple of them, so that's the tone I'm reading in those minutes.
It wasn't a fun place for the county to be in, because, and I just don't want that repeat this time. So if it's really what we want to change it, it's not, don't say it's got to be done during this budget cycle. It's like Judy said to me too, she said, there's so many questions that we had before, yesterday, she said, we don't really think it can happen in this budget cycle, and I guess we'll find out.
My bigger concern is what is in the best interest of our folks in Blackhawk County on the safety aspect. There's the cost, yes, we gotta be worried about the cost, but there's also a safety aspect, and that was one of the reasons I got asked before I ran. This issue came to me, is, and it's gotta be something that's consistent for the cities and the county. It can't just be for the cities, it can't be for the county. And again, just throwing it on the county is not the answer. There's gotta be more to that.
Well, because right now it is just, it's the city's wanting to move it off their tax levy, the city levy, and put it on the county.
Yeah.
And so it has to be more than that, than just that we're conveniencing the cities and freeing up a line item for them to use for something else. But we need to take the responsibility of this. And I know they talked last time about a tax neutral, and I was like, well, yeah, you show me how that's gonna work. You know, they wouldn't raise theirs, so it didn't look like we were raising taxes. They would keep theirs neutral and we'd just accept it. And it was like, there's so many pieces, it's just a lot to work through. I said, I think last week, I was trying to say, there was one, and that doesn't mean we have to follow their example, but learn from them. One, I think, Matt, and correct me, anybody that was involved, it said for 8 years, they worked through this, so it took them a long time. I mean, it was a bigger project, but it was that, I'm sure, and it wasn't steady, like we were meeting like every week, trying to do it, but it was just like taking the time to do it right. And it's like, I don't know if we have that commitment, I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out today.
If I have questions, can I just forward those to you?
Please, yeah.
Please do.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of hoping, if you have some,
Yep.
you know, we need.
Chris, same with you. If you have any questions, please let us know. This meeting today is at 2:00, so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we just need answers because last week wasn't the right questions that we were getting answers to, and so is, I think it was trying to be kind of presented as the right answers, but we need to know, essentially, my purpose is, if we're already at the point, like if it changed to county funding, the individual taxpayer is paying the same amount because we've already moved to that equitable funding by having it funded at property value. So everybody across the county gets the same service. We're paying the same rate. And so we've already achieved that part of the funding mechanism. So to me, the question is, one, if it did go to the county, what does that do to our levies and our ability to tax for other services? Two, is there a mechanism by which we could be required to? I don't think there is, because we were presented that on just a totally different issue last week that had nothing to do with consolidated communications. And three, if there's not a requirement, this make the compelling argument for the greater good of why we should take this on. I know that cities are facing pressure because of the like the grout levy and library levies having to be thrown into their levies. So just make that compelling argument up front and not try to say we're required to do something that we're clearly not presented to be required to, at least according to last week's presentation.
I think, and Rich had a pretty good point. TIF, it goes back to TIF, so that's all I'm gonna say about that.
It is not equal or equitable for our taxpayers as long as there's areas in TIF that those dollars don't come to fund the center.
And those are kind of some of those legal questions, though, we have to see if we can do anything about it or not.
I think my simple question would be, do we have to or not?
Do we have to do
Really
it?
simply, and if we don't, then like Chris said, make the compelling argument, which I don't think exists, but why would it make sense for us to take that on?
I've waited for that for 3 years when they keep saying, would we be willing to talk? And I said, we are willing to talk. No one has told us. I know why I said a mayor wants it off their levy. I said, now tell us why the county should take it on. I'd like somebody to take it off ours too. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
And we have a line item empty. It just doesn't work that way, but yeah.
Are you guys aware of or read through the Mahaska County case?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing to look at.
Yes.
That was a good thing for us last year,
I can send it to you.
or 3 years ago.
In summary.
Well, it was that's what was in, who sent that email that had that?
I think I sent one out.
There's somebody sent
last
out a
year
couple
when I
weeks
got
ago.
that, or no,
Last year?
no, this spring. When I was doing research on this, like back in March or April, I sent that out, the Mahaska decision out.
That went up to, it's the state Supreme Court?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a timeline or some information we can provide that was done 3 years ago too to help. Because like I said, there was just so much stuff that everybody got the way through, that's hard, but to give you some of that basic stuff and more questions, you might.
And Mahaska's kind of a way not to do it.
But it answers.
It was still a wake-up call.
It's already gone through the courts based on what you're just
Yeah.
asking.
And that's because somebody was trying to force them to do it.
Yeah.
The supervisor said no, and they didn't make the case. And that was kind of why, like I said, it's kind of sat dormant for a little while because nobody's made the case and never come to us. And they certainly didn't make it last Tuesday either, so it's like, well, let's at least discuss it.
But answering whether this board can force you to
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
And it was determined through this Mahaska County case that no, they can't, that you have the final approval.
It's in code. No, they can't.
It's just, it's unfortunately two different code sections that are contradictory, and so that's why it went through the courts.
And I think they had 2 or 3 lawsuits. They don't want that. So that was all I had on that, just to kind of say too, or if you had questions. And Chris, I'm sorry I didn't send this out to you quickly, but they were just questions for the attorney, funding authority, current structure of oversight, and timeline discussion. Those were the things Judy put on the agenda, so it's kind of open today for more. So if you have anything, please feel free to forward.
Okay.
Or any topic, related. Thanks. Okay, any reports or information from the board?
Saturday, I got to attend an event on the letter carriers. This is the 250th year celebration of the United States Postal Service. There is a resolution that we're being asked to do. I don't know how the county does resolutions. Does it recognize the U.S. Postal Service here in Waterloo? How do we bring some?
Is there a date or a month or anything particular they'd like it on?
I don't know, I don't know the process, so that's why it's.
You could do a proclamation if they have.
Yeah.
For the 250th year, you
Yeah.
could do something like
Yeah.
that, recognizing it.
Yeah.
It's basically like a proclamation, whether it's just recognizing or we've done issue stances before on things too, so we just do that as a resolution also. So any supervisor can put that on the agenda.
Yeah, and you can invite them to come and speak to it if they'd like to, or they don't always want to, or something.
So what's the process then? Does somebody review that? Does it go to Mike first for review or do a proclamation or?
No,
Who
no,
writes it?
and it's historical, I was gonna say, as far as like they've got a background in history and all this, it isn't like something you have to do. Unless somebody's got a problem with it on the board, I can't imagine
Okay.
anybody does, and just whatever date you'd like to put it on, what? So you're gonna be controversial.
Not like,
Not today.
Okay,
Okay.
bring it forward.
Did you
I
say
didn't-
the
oh.
250th year? Sorry.
I was just
Yes.
I was just gonna mention that I officially carried out the duty for Blackhawk County and was the chili contest judge on Sunday at Cattle Congress.
oh, nice.
Said- Yeah, that's what I said, and they gave me the recipe and everything. Of course, Mayor Clinton was there also to do it and pointed out that I had the cup of chili, and it started with the taste and ended up with the whole cup and finished the whole thing in 45 seconds. So it was like that good, but the chili was great.
Did you spill any or no?
No, I didn't spill a drop and I had more.
That's good.
So it was, I'd highly recommend it every year, you guys should do it.
Oh,
So thanks, it was fun. Okay, anything else? No, any reports? All right, ask for a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I know, clearly you guys have been